not how many drinks are we doing per day, but what is your busiest time? How many drinks are you going to do in that hour or 2 hours when it's the absolute busiest? That's what you have to focus on.
Okay.
Not 200 drinks a day, but maybe you're doing 200 drinks an hour. You need a machine that's going to be able to keep up with that. Steaming and brewing.
So if I say I do 200 drinks over a day, but 150 of those happen between 8 and 9 a.m.
Yeah, you got to focus on what you're going to. You
need to have a machine that does 150 drinks in 1 hour period.
Exactly. Otherwise, your clientele is going to go bye-bye.
Okay. So what do I want to think about in those regards? Like obviously I need a machine that's going to recover pretty quickly.
Quickly, you might think about a two brew head.
Or yeah.
Yeah, you might think about that so you can have multiple people working that one machine. Capacity, it's got to be obviously plumbed in, and all commercial machines are.
Yeah.
But just the capacity to be able to produce X amount of drinks in that X amount of time, that's your busiest time of the day.
And we do, one of the things that we'll have is people that do, like, they'll have community groups or something like that. They use it once a week, but during that once a week time frame, they're doing a ton of coffee.
Yep.
And so they're sort of like, well, but it's only once a week that we do 400 drinks.
Yeah, it's the churches and all. We get a lot of churches that want to do it, and I mean, you can't have the service is over. 11 o'clock. Here come those 400 people.
Yeah, so you do need to kind of invest in that.
Yeah, and then the next service is already in session, and you haven't completed serving the first service. So yeah, that's one of the major considerations.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Now, budget.
How much money you got, and what can you get for it?
Okay, now we're not talking. I'm not going to talk about grinders in this mix. This is just about machines.
Okay.
You got to figure in the grinder, and you got to get the right grinder. We'll talk about that later. But if you have $2,000 and you want a machine that's going to be NSF rated, and it's going to go into a small art gallery, you're only producing maybe 30 drinks an hour. The Rancilio Apoca 1 group, or the L'Espeziale Mini Vivaldi.
Okay.
Those machines will do this, and don't push it. I mean, don't say, okay, I got $2,000 and I want to do 50 drinks an hour. It's just not going to happen.
Or 100 drinks or whatever. So, these machines do cost a pretty penny. So $2,000 is a lot of money, but not in the context of commercial machines.
No, not in commercial machines.
So if I only have $2,000, I should keep saving my pennies, basically, if I'm trying to do a cafe.
Exactly. If you're doing a cafe, don't even go down this road.
Okay.
It's not going to work for you. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to end up in the first couple of months realizing the error of your ways.
So it really is a complimentary service, no more than 30 drinks an hour.
Maybe a catering thing where you're going to a wedding or something. You want to serve espresso along with the open bar.
Okay.
It'll work because the open bar is going to take precedence. Put your coin on the open bar.
So if I'm going to have a larger capacity, maybe not a full crazy cafe, but sort of a medium busy cafe.
Something in the middle, 30 to 100 drinks an hour. We're looking at a $4,000 to $7,000 budget.
Okay.
Okay, and then we're looking at the Class 7 Rancilio.
Okay.
The Nuovo Salmonelli Appia 2 group.
Okay.
No, those are the two that really fall into that category.
Okay. For that kind of price range.
Yeah, and that's your medium. You're still not into a high-end cafe where you're running 300 or 400 drinks an hour at between 7 and 9 in the morning.
Okay, so that's really kind of like maybe you're just starting out, you're trying to build up your business, or you're in an area that you're not going to have crazy
or it's complementing like a donut shop, and you are going to sell some, but you're not like that catering.
Or a restaurant that's a busy restaurant, but you don't have as many takers for espresso.
Yep, exactly.
So what if I'm opening up like the coolest kid on the block, and I'm going to have a line out the door, Gail?
Aurelia, Salmonelli Aurelia, and now we're talking 10K plus.
Okay.
You're getting into GB5, FB80. Those are
the La Marzocco. Okay.
And the Class 9 and 10, which is the Rancilio Sylvia. I mean the Rancilio Sylvia.
Rancilio.
Period, not the Sylvia. I had somebody want to buy a Sylvia for a commercial setting.
We often have that.
I said, no, I won't sell it to you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So that's kind of the thing is that your budget. Sometimes, obviously we want to spend as little as possible.
Yeah, sure.
Everybody wants to be frugal, etc. But you do have to keep these things in mind.
And the grinder, now you got to plan in some money for that too, probably $1,500 or so. Plus,
at least, yeah.
So.
Okay.
You've chosen your budget. You know about where you should be. Now, the other thing to think about is, are you a one-man show?
Okay.
Are you the one that's going to be pulling the shot, steaming the milk, taking the money, throwing the pie at the customer that you so carefully made in the back room? Your baker would not be happy if it landed on the floor. So think about that.
Okay.
If you have people where you can actually have 2 people working a machine and they're dedicated just to that machine, you might not need a machine that actually automatically volumetrically controls the shot. And what I mean by that is there are machines that you can program the button. You turn it on, it'll pour for 25 seconds and shut itself off.
Okay.
That's a automatic. In the semi-automatic world, that's called an automatic.
Okay.
It times the shot, shuts it off all by itself. Semi-automatic is the machine where you flip the switch, you got to shut it off. So if you can't multitask or you don't have enough people to do that and you're the only person, you might want to look at a volumetric or an automatic semi-automatic machine. An automatic semi-automatic.
Well, it would be an automatic volumetric or a semi-automatic machine. So one of the two. So,
one of the two.
So really it's like, are you going to be able to, stand there and
Multitask or
watch
not.
the shot?
Yeah. If you're doing low volume, you can probably pull that off.
Yeah.
If you got a person coming in every 5 minutes, you can certainly do that. You could pull the shot, make the drink, and take the money and go down to the next one.
But also there is, I think there's that workflow thing, but there's also personality. So for example, you like to do them separate here in the store. Like you don't have this big capacity where you're serving all these people, but still even on our double boilers or heat exchange, you do one at a time.
I do one at a time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now if I was doing it on like the Mini Vivaldi, I'd push the button, go do my steaming.
Yeah. So that also is something to think about. Is maybe it's maybe you still are a one-man show or one-woman show,
But not a multitasker.
Yeah, but you still just want to have that like dosage pre-programmed.
Oh my God! It just overflowed. But my phone looks good.
Exactly.
Because I was concentrating on it.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's something to think about.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay. Grinders.
Grinder.
Now we're into the next phase. You have to make sure that you figure into your budget a decent grinder if you're doing high volume. You don't want to buy a grinder that's, your $800-900 grinder that's meant for low commercial, high-end home to use in 100 drinks an hour setting or a 200 drink hour setting.
So
you're gonna burn it up.
So basically, not only am I looking at my espresso machine for like my busiest time set, I have to do that for my grinder as well.
Exactly. And if you don't, you'll end up with burned up grinders sitting on the shelf.
And so like we do have models like the Mazzer Mini is a perfect example. That technically is a commercial grinder.
But that would be for your low end, where if you're going to buy that
Spaziale or something, 30 drinks an hour, that kind of thing.
30 drinks an hour, you could get away with that. But if you're starting to move it up a bit, you got to think of the higher end Mazzers, the Malconigs, something that's going to do the job. Look at this.
So we just wanted to do like these are just random examples of a difference between a home class grinder.
Yeah, people
it's at
think
about the $500 price point.
People think they can use this in a cafe. This is not going to hold up for cafe use. If you run this thing for about 5 minutes grinding consecutively, you were going to overheat it, for one thing, and it's going to be slow.
Now, this was, and the Vario W has been designed and is there, it's available. People are using it like in pour over bars.
But that's lower volume.
Yeah, it's a much lower volume.
Process.
You're doing a little more per drink time, going through that, more crafting it.
Look what it takes you to do a pour over.
Yeah.
You pour the water, you wait. Mm-hmm. You pour the water, you wait. So you're not producing shot after shot every 30 seconds.
So not only do I have like some different size here, like this guy, I'm assuming, has bigger burrs than this guy.
Huge burrs. You're going to produce a double shot 17 grams in about under 5 seconds.
Okay.
I think it's 3 or 4 seconds.
So very fast.
This is going to take you more like 20 to 30 seconds.
Okay.
I'm not, don't quote me on that, but that's just from my memory.
I think we're closer for a double, maybe 12 to 15.
Okay, but that's not like 5.
No, it's
or
not.
3.
It's
this
not
thing is
at
like,
all.
Done.
And looks like it's got like the motor in it. Obviously, seems like it's
it's huge.
It's like I said, it's got more meat on its bones. Gail.
Yeah, that's how she phrased it. I mean, look at the hopper. Everything about it's different. This is designed for commercial use.
Okay. All right, so I definitely have to again think of my how, busiest time period
Right,
and buy
buy
my
the grinder
grinder for
for
that,
that.
as well as my machine.
Exactly.
And you know what we say, Gail? This really is your espresso machine. This really is what you should be spending your money on, is a really excellent grinder, because
Yes.
that makes all the difference in your shot quality.
We have tested this time and time again. I've done this with some of our people in-house here just to show them.
Mm-hmm.
And the grinder makes a difference.
Cool. Thank
The
you.
taste will be better. Yes.
First and foremost,
how many drinks per hour are you going to produce in a given time frame?
the busiest hour of your day.
Yep.
Next is my budget,
Your budget, but you got to make sure that the budget's going to fit
what you're
to
going to
make sure
do.
that hourly rate that you're going to do.
Then I'm talking about work style, workflow. If I
Multitask or not?
yes, multitask or
Do
not.
you want it to produce the shot automatically and shut off?
Or
do
you just stand there and do
just
it.
stand there and monitor the whole thing?
And then finally,
The
my
grinder.
grinder.
The grinder's important that it matches that per hour volume that you're going to have at
The
your
busiest
busiest
hour.
time of the year. The day.
The day.
The day.
All right, so your grinder and your espresso machine have to both
Hand in
be
hand.
cool.
Yep. And don't cheap out on the grinder,
No.
because the flavor won't be there, and just everything about it's not going to be as good. Your customers won't come back.
And also, maybe you buy your $500, $700, $800 grinder. You might be buying that grinder 5 times a year, or so, like
That's
if you're
right.
capacity. So in the end,
Exactly.
you maybe should have bought that 2,000 grinder to begin with.
Don't shoot
you know?
yourself in the foot.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
So save up if you have to.
Exactly.
Hit your relatives up. Whatever it takes.
Yeah. All right.
I'll give you 5.
Thank you so much, Gail.
Yeah, you're welcome.